disclose the name of the person I'm with. He's,
yeah, no problem.
He's involved in DAPL and he's a representative of the tribe. But
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But
okay. Let's do that here.
Okay.
Okay. So, ici Laurent Freeman, j'ai trouvé quelqu'un qui est un premier témoin en fait pour savoir qui continue de creuser là-bas. Donc voilà. Donc voilà l'interview. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Yoka Naranjo Rooney. My father's from Chile, my mother's from Oregon.
And so you was in the camp since how long?
I've been in the camp for about a week and a half.
Okay.
I got here via random contact. I was reaching out to people on my Facebook feed and seeing who was going up to Standing Rock.
Okay.
And I met a guy, a mutual friend of someone from my school, and I unenrolled from college to go meet him in Minneapolis from Iowa.
Okay.
So I went to Minneapolis and we gutted this bus and we built 2 bunk beds, a bed in the back, a bench for people to sleep in. We built a wood stove in it and insulated it for people so they could stay warm in the winter. We drove the 500 miles up here on that bus. An hour in, our brakes went out, and so we drove the rest of the way with no brakes. We had a van in the front with a walkie-talkie letting them know when to slow down and gear down to first.
Dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous, but the spirit, some spirit brought us here. They needed us, and we saved several people from cold nights and
I understand.
Resources. And
so I just met you in front of the sacred fire, and I was just randomly talking with you, and you told me that you witnessed that they are still drilling there.
Yeah.
So when did you see that?
So yesterday I was up on Media Hill and I was walking around. I was taking some photos. I do film photography and journalism. And I met this guy and he started talking to me, and he's happened to be involved in this Dakota Access Pipeline. And he's a representative from the tribe there, and he brought up several points of what they're doing in legislation to make sure that this pipeline, worst case scenario, if it does get made, that at least they meet the minimum requirements required by the Federal Army Corps of Engineers, and that, which they're not right now. They have pictures of welds that are illegal and that aren't to regulation size and height. They have too many too many connections in between the pipes. Which it's cost efficient, but it's violation of the contract and treaties that they've signed.
And someone told me that they are drilling just 10 feet below the bed of the river.
They're not. I can't say for sure as to how deep they're drilling.
But they're still drilling.
They're still drilling.
So
yesterday, after this interview, that I sort of took some notes of what his plans were. They brought up 7 points to DAPL, to the Dakota Access Pipeline. 1, the regulations. 2, natives being there to be native engineers being there to regulate and make sure that they're meeting the minimum requirements. And then the ideal circumstance is that there's no pipeline and that the treaties negotiated hundreds of years before are met, but in worst case scenario, at least a bridge or a tunnel be built underneath the river so that people can go and monitor it, because right now they just have remote monitoring. They don't have people actually going up and checking, and so it could be a leak occurs and then 8 hours later someone will show up. They need people there constantly monitoring it, and they don't do that right now. And that's proven. But after that we drove around, and we drove around over to Turtle Creek. Turtle Creek is Turtle Island. Turtle Island is a little camp. There's a couple of teepees and tents set up there with it's abandoned because it's way far away from this Ocheti Shakoan camp. But we walked over. We drove over there, and we started testing out the river in the widest part that it was, and it was frozen solid, a foot thick. And we walked across the river.
So you crossed the river?
Crossed the river, and we started walking up, and you could see the machinery working and drilling, and people moving around on top of the drilling pad.
Yes.
When we started getting closer, we see about 6 or 7 snowmobiles, armed policemen on snowmobiles come towards us. So we go back onto the river about halfway across the river, and they start yelling at us and telling us to go back to our side and harassing us. And there's no trespassing signs. This is public property still. This is we would have been arrested, but they would have had no grounds for the arrest.
Okay.
And so right now I think there's two factions. There's the faction that's trying to keep people alive here and keep people in survival mode and make sure they're safe and fed.
Do you know if there is people working for the DAPL that are leaking information to the people of the camp?
There's been several rumors that a lot of veterans that have come in have been working for DAPL, and people are trying to keep their information close and accurate, but also not give away too much of what's actually going on here in camp. There are movements planned for peaceful, prayerful protests and dances that will essentially halt the pipeline. If they feel there's an imminent threat, they'll pull all those drillers out. And they are working currently. So this easement, if they get past a certain point by January 1st, investors have a chance to either pull out their investments or continue paying. And right now they just pay a daily fine to keep drilling. And that daily fine is 1/400th of that.
It's 50,000, yes, per day, something.
1/400th of the total cost.
Yes.